There are some videos on the internet that feel staged, exaggerated, and easy to dismiss, but every once in a while something comes along that feels different, something that sits just close enough to reality to make you question it. The Life of Luxury series has built its reputation on that exact feeling, presenting encounters with strange individuals and disturbing situations that blur the line between fiction and something far more unsettling. In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at some of these cases, breaking down what's actually shown, how these entities behave, and the kind of danger they might represent. Some of these entities seem harmless at first, but that doesn't last for long. So with that being said, let's take a closer look. Jennifer Stalker's essential entity featured in the Life of Luxury episode, He's Been Living Under Her Bedroom Floor, presenting itself as a hidden presence that exists just beneath the surface of an ordinary home. What begins as a disturbing situation quickly escalates into something far more dangerous, as the entity reveals itself to be aggressive, persistent, and impossible to ignore once discovered. The creature itself is a non-bipedal humanoid with a pale, almost unnatural appearance. Its body structure is distorted, moving on all fours in a way that feels more animal than human. It has a disproportionately large head, small eyes, and a wide mouth lacking any visible teeth. Two dark marks are present on its back, adding to its already unsettling design. Every aspect of its appearance reinforces that this is not something meant to exist in a normal environment. Its behavior is highly erratic and aggressive. When confined beneath the house, it reacts violently, especially when unable to reach those above it, eventually forcing its way through the floor in an attempt to get closer. Rather than relying on sight, it appears to navigate using echolocation, emitting low, disturbing screams to locate movement in the dark. This allows it to track individuals even when visibility is limited, making it far more dangerous once it becomes active. Jennifer Stalker isn't something just hiding in a house. It's something waiting, listening, learning, and once it decides to come out, there's nowhere left to hide. Kenzie Stalker is an entity presenting itself as a persistent and invasive presence that targets its victim long before physically revealing itself. What begins as a series of subtle, almost dismissible events quickly escalates into something far more direct, suggesting that the entity is not only watching, but actively studying its target from close range. The figure itself appears as a small, humanoid entity that moves exclusively on all fours, giving a distinctly unnatural, animalistic posture. It wears what looks like a simple cloth, while the rest of its body remains exposed. Its overall appearance is erratic and unsettling, resembling something that imitates a human form without fully understanding it. The behavior leading up to its appearance is slow and deliberate. Kenzie begins receiving repeated phone calls from an unknown number, with the caller remaining completely silent, only listening. This alone suggests a level of awareness and intent, but the situation escalates when she receives a photo of herself brushing her teeth, an image that could have only been taken from within or directly outside of her home. This confirms that the entity had already breached her sense of privacy long before revealing itself. Its presence becomes undeniable during the night, when it approaches her house and knocks on the window before forcing its way inside. Once inside, it moves erratically across the floor, emitting strange, almost distorted laughing sounds as it crawls through the space. The way it moves suggests familiarity with the environment, as it makes its way through the attic, effectively disappearing from sight while remaining inside the home. Despite authorities later searching the house, nothing is found, leaving no physical trace behind. This absence only confirms how easily the entity can enter, observe, and leave without being detected. Its behavior shows a clear pattern: watch first, learn, then act, making it far more dangerous than something that attacks immediately. Kenzie Stalker doesn't rely on brute force or speed. It relies on proximity, patience, and the ability to remain unnoticed until it chooses otherwise. And by the time it finally shows itself, it's already been there for much longer than anyone realized. Margaret is a central entity featured in the Life of Luxury series, presenting itself as what initially appears to be nothing more than a worn, lifeless doll. However, as the events unfold, it becomes clear that Margaret is something far more dangerous, an entity tied closely to its owner, reacting emotionally and violent when that connection is disturbed. At a glance, Margaret resembles a ragged doll with long, messy brown hair draped over her shoulders, wearing a nightgown throughout the entire encounter. Her face is marked by smeared red lipstick and hollow, lifeless eyes, giving her a vacant and unsettling expression. The condition of her body appears deteriorated, with a surface that looks damaged and aged. As the situation escalates, her appearance becomes even more unnatural. Her hair is revealed to be a wig, which she removes to expose the bald head, and her movements shift from stillness to something far more erratic. When she attacks, her jaw opens in an unnatural, inhuman way, far beyond what her form should allow. For most of the encounter, Margaret remains completely motionless, showing no signs of life until a specific trigger occurs. When Lily scratches a Lily plus Margaret message on her bedroom wall, the entity immediately reacts. It rises on its own and moves toward her room, twitching its head and emitting loud, disoriented screeches upon seeing the damaged writing. This reaction suggests a strong emotional attachment, or at least a possessive response tied to Lily. Shortly after, Margaret removes her wig and disappears entirely, no longer confined to where it was last seen. The entity's presence continues through indirect means, using a voice to lure Lily by calling out to her from the closet. When Lily approaches and sits on the edge of her bed, Margaret reappears from beneath it, attacking without warning. It bites onto Lily's foot and attempts to drag her underneath, displaying both physical strength and clear intent to take her. Even after she is rescued and removed from the house, Margaret pursues, showing no sign of stopping. There is a clear and unnatural connection between Margaret and Lily. Lily refers to her as a best friend and roommate, implying a long-term relationship despite the entity's hostile behavior. This bond appears one-sided and possessive, as shown by Margaret's reaction to the scratched message and Lily's decision to return to the house after escaping. Despite everything that occurs, Lily is drawn back to her, suggesting influence that goes far beyond simple fear or attachment. Margaret's abilities include what appears to be teleportation, allowing her to vanish and reappear in different locations without explanation, combined with her ability to remain completely still until triggered, mimic voices, and attack from hidden positions. She becomes extremely difficult to predict or avoid. Her true nature remains unclear. While she resembles a doll, her movement, behavior, and structure suggest something far more complex. Megan's stalker is an entity presenting itself as something that exists within the structure of a home rather than outside of it. Its presence is subtle at first, revealed through unexplained noises, such as heavy stomping, pipes bursting, and distant manic laughter, despite no visible source. This creates a constant sense that something is there, even when nothing can be seen. Its appearance is only partially captured, but enough is revealed to establish something clearly unnatural. The figure appears bald, severely hunched, and humanoid, wearing what looks like a loincloth with fabric wrapped around its chest. At one point, eyes can be seen watching from a hole in the wall, suggesting it uses the house itself as cover. Its posture and movement feel wrong, as if it were never meant to exist in such confined spaces. The entity eventually becomes more active, physically interacting with Megan while remaining mostly unseen. During the night, a hand slowly emerges from the hole in her room, crawling onto her bed and playing with her hair as she sleeps. The moment she wakes and reacts, it disappears instantly, retreating back into the walls. Even when others enter the room, no trace of it remains. As they escape, the figure is briefly caught on camera moving across the room, confirming its presence but never fully revealing itself. Its ability to stay hidden while still interacting with its surroundings makes it especially unsettling. Megan's stalker doesn't need to be seen to be dangerous. It's already inside, and it's been there the entire time. Clone Parker is introduced as a perfect duplicate of Parker delivered in a sealed cardboard box labeled as a human clone. From the moment it appears, the situation carries an unnatural tone, as the figure inside looks identical to Parker, yet something about it is immediately off. While it physically mirrors him, the differences become more apparent the longer it remains active. The clone is first seen unconscious, restrained in chains, and dressed in a white t-shirt and shorts, later changing to darker clothing. Its appearance closely matches Parker's, but with subtle, unsettling details. Its eyes are completely black, and a thick, dark substance drips from its mouth. Despite being nearly identical, its expressions and presence feels wrong, giving the impression of something imitating a human rather than truly becoming one. Its behavior truly reinforces this. The way it speaks closely resembles Parker's, but the tone is slower, more deliberate, and occasionally includes phrasing that feels unnatural or out of place. It maintains a constant smile and interacts in a way that seems rehearsed, as if it understands how to act human but doesn't fully grasp it. As the situation escalates, it becomes clear that the clone is not simply a copy. It has its own intent, and that intent is to replace the original. During the night, the clone actively attempts to get rid of the real Parker, leading to a confrontation where Chester tries to determine which one is genuine, relying on questions he assumes only the real Parker would answer correctly, but overlooks the clone's ability to mimic knowledge and behavior. This results in a fatal mistake, as the real Parker is left behind while the clone takes his place without resistance. Clone Parker doesn't overpower or rush the situation. It observes, imitates, and waits for the right moment. And by the time the difference becomes clear, it's already too late to fix. Shelby Stalker is an entity presenting itself as a persistent figure that remains just outside of reach, appearing only long enough to be seen before vanishing again. Unlike more direct threats, this entity operates through repeated sightings and proximity, creating a constant sense of being watched without ever fully revealing how it moves or where it goes. Its appearance is relatively human at first glance, described as a male figure with long hair, but its movements quickly break that illusion. When captured on camera, it appears unstable, shaking as it attempts to climb over Shelby's porch, moving in a way that feels unnatural and uncoordinated. Despite this, it is still capable of approaching the house silently and with precision, reaching windows and positioning itself close enough to observe without being immediately detected. Its behavior follows a clear pattern: approach, observe, and disappear. Shelby reports repeatedly seeing it outside of her window or standing in her backyard, only for it to vanish the moment she tries to confront it. During the night, its actions become more aggressive, attempting to enter the house by opening her window while she sleeps. Even when Parker and Chester try to intercept it, the entity evades them effortlessly, retreating into the woods and disappearing without a trace. At one point, it is seen watching from behind a tree, and later from a structure resembling a garden arbor, maintaining its distance while still making its presence known. There are also subtle details that suggest something more deliberate behind its actions. A strange marking is discovered on a nearby tree, possibly indicating territory, intent, or some form of communication, combined with the fact that the entity returns multiple times and seems to track Shelby's movements. Its behavior feels less random and more targeted. Shelby Stalker doesn't rush or force its way in immediately. It waits, watches, and tests its approach, getting closer each time before disappearing again. And the fact that it was able to reach her window more than once suggests it wasn't just passing through, it was trying to get in. Timmy is a tragic entity, presenting a case where grief leads to something far more disturbing than denial. After Timmy's death, his father creates a puppet using his remains, and somehow, that puppet retains Timmy's consciousness. What should have been a lifeless object instead becomes something aware, emotional, and unstable. At a glance, the puppet appears crude and unsettling, resembling a poorly constructed figure rather than anything meant to function as a toy. Its movements shift between completely lifeless and suddenly active, making it difficult to predict when it will act. When animated, it behaves in ways that feel unnatural and erratic, sometimes moving freely, other times appearing stiff or disconnected, as if struggling to maintain control over its own body. Its behavior is deeply tied to its identity as Timmy. It speaks, reacts, and expresses emotion like a child, repeatedly asking others to play with it. However, this childlike behavior quickly turns aggressive when ignored or rejected. During the night, it becomes fully active, moving through the house, watching others as they sleep, and eventually attacking when it doesn't get the attention it wants. Its actions are impulsive and emotional, shifting rapidly from sadness to violence. The connection between Timmy and his father plays a major role in this situation. The father treats the puppet as if it's still his son, speaking to it and keeping it close, while also attempting to control it by restricting its movement. This dynamic suggests that while Timmy retains some level of consciousness, he is not fully stable, and the environment around him only confirms that instability. When it attacks, the puppet shows clear physical capability, choking and overpowering targets despite its small size. It does not hesitate once it becomes aggressive, and its behavior suggests that it doesn't fully understand the harm it's causing. Its need for attention overrides everything else, making it unpredictable and dangerous in close proximity. Timmy isn't just a puppet, and he isn't just a child anymore. He is something caught in between, aware enough to feel, but not stable enough to control it. And when he wants to play, saying no is not an option. The Grey Love Dog is an entity originating from a dark web purchase, advertised as a loyal companion that would love you for life, and follows its owner everywhere. What arrives, however, is something far removed from a normal animal. An entity that appears briefly, causes destruction, and vanishes without explanation, leaving behind more questions than answers. Its appearance loosely resembles a black Russian terrier, but with unnatural features that immediately set it apart. Most notably, it possesses two long ear-like appendages that resemble elephant trunks, giving it a distorted, almost artificial look. Its overall shape and movement raise suspicion, to the point where it is initially believed to be a person wearing a dog suit rather than an actual animal. Its behavior is erratic and aggressive from the moment it enters the house. During the night, it is captured on camera moving through the home, tearing apart the environment and leaving the interior completely trashed. There is no sign of hesitation or curiosity. Its actions appear deliberate, focused entirely on destruction rather than exploration or interaction. What makes the situation more unsettling is how it appears. Despite reviewing the footage, there is no clear moment where the entity leaves the house, leading to confusion about how it entered or exited in the first place. Even after contacting the authorities, no explanation is given, and the assumption that it was simply a person fails to account for its behavior and lack of visible escape. The Grey Love Dog doesn't stay, doesn't interact, and doesn't behave like anything it was advertised to be. It arrives, causes damage, and disappears without a trace. And whatever it actually was, it was just never a dog. Some of these encounters feel almost impossible to explain, and that's what makes them so unsettling. Not everything we saw was aggressive, not everything attacked right away, but every single one of them showed signs of something being off, something not meant to exist in a normal environment. What makes cases like these dangerous isn't just what happens on camera, it's what isn't shown. The moments before, the things hiding just out of frame, and the fact that in most cases, there's no real explanation for how any of it is happening in the first place. So whether these entities are watching, waiting, or just passing through, one thing stays consistent. You don't really know what you're dealing with until it's already too late. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. And until next time, friends.